Oh, okay. So for today, I want to change things up a little bit because mainly I've been talking about the A7 III and how awesome it is, and that's still very much true. However, today is going to be a little bit different. Today I want to talk about this, and that's whether you should buy a DSLR or basically a mirrorless camera, because I've been asked a lot about this, and it's, well, should I buy one or the other? And honestly, you can't go wrong with either. They're both brilliant systems. I do still stick with what I said in one of my videos, I forget which one it was, and that's, I think DSLRs will be dead in roughly about 3 years time, because the technology is moving so fast in mirrorless cameras. DSLRs can't keep up. It's just a fact of life, you know. It doesn't mean DSLRs are dead. They're not at the moment. They're still very much alive, and we're in that kind of funny stage at the moment with the market. They are slowly, or very progressively actually, moving over to mirrorless, but the old DSLRs, they're still bloody good. Some twat being loud outside. Okay, so let's talk about some advantages on why I think you should potentially get a mirrorless camera. And my biggest one is the autofocus systems in them, with the face and the eye autofocus. If you're something like me, a wedding photographer or portrait photographer, there's no compromise here. You should get this. It's as simple as that. And it's mainly because of just how accurate they are with, you know, if you're shooting like a wide open lens, let's say you've got a 1.4 or even maybe a 1.2 lens, and you're trying to nail the eye, because obviously that's where you want to nail the focus, then you want something like this, because a DSLR, while it's pretty good, it's just a lot slower to actually work with one. With this, something like this, you just, boom, you've got the eye. It's really good. It's fast, it's very accurate, and you're going to get very good results. When it comes to things like image quality between the mirrorless and a DSLR, there's very little in it, so don't even factor that into your decision. It's more about the autofocus options, and it's literally, that is my main reason for switching to something like this. There is something else, and that's just the pure size. Again, tiny little baby hands, so my hands fit on this very, very well. The lenses are also smaller, which is, you know, the weight and size, but the biggest thing is simply the autofocus. It gives us so many more options to actually take the shots that we want, and we get them so much easier. I mean, come on. If you're on the fence about this at the moment, and like I say, if you are a wedding photographer, I highly recommend maybe renting one of these, or seeing if you know somebody that actually has something like this, and I don't know, have a meet up with them. Just I don't know, take a few shots of each other, see how you like it. But you must make sure that your autofocus options are set up correctly. Otherwise, you're going to have a really bad experience and you're not going to enjoy it. So make sure the autofocus, like the personalized custom functions, etc., or the buttons, are done correctly, or else you're not going to enjoy it and you're not going to get the most out of the camera. So that is my biggest reasons for buying one of these, is the autofocus options, and it can't be understated. The customization is also a big thing, and the size, for me especially, is a massive bonus. DSLRs, they do have these flip out screens now, or tilty screens, or whatever you want to say they are. So yeah, fantastic piece of kit, but it's not totally one-sided, because DSLRs are still better than mirrorless for a number of reasons, actually. One is you can beat the hell out of this. You can pretty much play golf with this, as the this can be the golf ball, and you could smash it around and it's still gonna work. These are incredibly tough cameras. So if you are basically, if you shoot in harsh conditions, you're a landscape photographer, let's say, or I don't know, you're maybe press or something like that, then something like this, it's going to take an absolute beating. Buy this instead. It's simple as that. The weather sealing on these, how tough they are, you can just beat the shite out of these, and it's just going to keep going. Something like this is going to be. I think they're still tough. I'm not saying they're not robust, but I think they're lacking compared to this. And that goes for Nikon too. You know, I'm not gonna say they're rubbish or anything like that because they're still very good, but these are incredibly tough cameras. The battery life on them is great as well. They just don't seem to fail. It's as simple as that. And you know, like I say, for landscapes, something like this, I would choose this definitely over a mirrorless if I was shooting landscapes professionally. Landscapes is one of the areas I'm a little bit weak on, so I need to train myself up a little bit on that. But definitely consider this if you're shooting landscapes. I've had been questions about this so many times, it's ridiculous. Yes, the lenses and the camera body are a lot heavier, but we kind of accept that now. It is what it is, but you can still buy some pretty light lenses. The Canon 1635 f4, that's a pretty light lens. You know, you carry that with this and you're absolutely fine. You don't need 2.8 lenses, you don't need 1.4 lenses for landscape. You need the smaller apertures for landscapes because you want to get lots in focus. I wouldn't even recommend the 14 1.8 from Sigma because that is so heavy. I've got it. It's a beautiful piece of glass, but it's so heavy. You need like a trolley case to wheel that thing around in, or maybe a wheelbarrow, or I don't know, a forklift truck. It's so heavy. So yeah, something like this for landscapes, perfect, or press, or travel or stuff. However, there is something to consider, and that is micro four thirds cameras for landscape photographers. Now, I know some people go, "Oh, don't touch micro four thirds," like, you know, they're 1/4 the size of the sensor. So what? They still produce amazing pictures. Look at the the Panasonic G9 at the moment. It's just come out. It looks incredible. I've not personally used it. I've never held one in my hand. But from what I've seen on the camera, it does everything, and it's just as good and just as robust. It's not far off the same size as one of these, actually. So yeah, do consider micro four thirds. They are very tough. There's a number of videos actually out, and it's showing something like the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II. I hate that name. That's stupid. But it shows that camera left out all night, and it's been absolutely frozen. You can't even turn all the modes or press the buttons. It's frozen solid, and it still works. You know, they've got to defrost it obviously, but it still works. It's a very, very tough camera. People have basically dropped it in puddles, like up to about there, with a lens on it. It is super weather sealed, and I'm not sure I'd have the confidence to do it with a Sony. In fact, I'm not going to do it though, this camera. But micro four thirds or DSLR for landscape stuff. Yeah, I'm going to throw that down there because it can take it. I'm going to gently place this one down though because it's my baby. But yeah, as I said, if you're a wedding photographer or just a portrait photographer, get yourself a mirrorless like a Sony, or if you're landscape, get yourself a DSLR. That's the short version of it, guys. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. I keep saying gotta get it out. I don't recommend you just, if you've got DSLRs at the moment, just jumping over to a mirrorless camera like this if you're not going to get the benefit from it. You have to be getting the benefit from it, and you're going to have to use things like the face and eye autofocus to really appreciate something like this. If you are simply a landscape photographer, you're not going to use all the functions on this. You're going to find it quite frustrating because some of the things like time lapse, they haven't got this on it. Sony, sort it out. Give us an update. Yeah, if you're, like I say, landscape photographer, stick with DSLR. Simple as that, really.